Another rumor, but it wasn't a rumor because it felt like it was going to be a foregone conclusion that the biggest trade chip going into 2025 was a Miami Marlins pitcher because he was coming back from Tommy John, and it looked like in spring training that his stuff, the velo, everything was there. And that's Sandy Alcantara. And Sandy, man, it has been a rough go.
It really has. For
the former Cy Young Award winner. But John Heyman was on MLB Network earlier and actually talked about, well, what is the buzz going around for pitchers? And surprise, surprise, Sandy's name is still in that circle. So let me play that clip for you guys.
The one people are still talking about is Alcantara, which is a little shocking to a lot of us who look at the stats, and he's got an 8.47 ERA. He did get hit. The command is really the issue, and that is often the issue coming back off of Tommy John. But I think teams, scouts feel that this guy will be back by the time of the trade deadline, and that's the guy that's most being talked about. There are a lot of other guys who are potential trade guys. Most of them are on teams that are kind of on the borderline of contending, and with 12 out of 30 teams making the playoffs now, there are not going to be a lot of these guys traded, so this is the guy in everybody's mind.
So that last point was there's a lot of teams still in it, so why would they want to trade a guy, right? But then Sandy, people are still infatuated with him. Why? The talent. And one thing that people want to look at and say, oh, he's washed and he's trash. Coming back from Tommy John doesn't mean you're just going to snap back into it and have success. And it's specifically, too, as a starting pitcher where the pressure is on you and a lot of teams are watching you, not everyone is going to get off to that hot start back. Now, if you look at his numbers, and I like to go to Baseball Savant. That's just one of the places I like to go to. Fastball velo is still pretty much up there. 97 miles an hour is what he's getting up to. He's still sitting around 95 as a whole. But the problem is that the walks have been an issue for him. The control has been an issue for him. And when you look at his numbers right now on batting average, four-seamer, they're in 345 off his fastball, sinker 267. And then his out pitches just aren't having that same impact that you had seen. You want to drop it back further when he was really having success. And we can even go back to 2021. People were hitting 189 off of his slider. It's up 40 percentage points right now, right? When you're looking at his other off-speed pitches, every single one of them was lower on an expected batting average. So Sandy, what it's telling me is, one, the stuff isn't exactly playing the way that he wants. But another thing is that he doesn't have control. And we've seen it, at least in Baltimore, with certain pitchers. If you don't have control, you're going to have trouble getting guys out. And for Sandy, we're going to go look at his numbers one more time for the one time. Zach, do you want to guess how many walks Sandy had back in 2022 in 228 innings?
50.
Wow. I feel like you looked at that, but
Was
you're
it
right.
50?
Yeah, 50 walks.
I was going to say 40, but then I was like, you know what? I'll go. He gave a walk every 4 innings.
So he has 50 walks in 228 innings in 2022. Sam, right now, how many walks do you think Sandy has through 51 innings of work?
Through 51 innings of work, how many do I think he has? Considering he's having such a rough year, considering he's used to volume, I'm going to put it, let's go with 39.
Close. 10 below.
10 below.
29.
Okay.
So he's got 29 free passes in 51 innings. Now, he's never been a big strikeout guy, 40 strikeouts in 51 innings. In 2021 and in 22, he had less than a strikeout per inning as his average, right? So nothing's really changed there but the walks. So if you're pitching to contact more times than not, and then on top of that, you're now giving free passes, so you're pitching to contact, your pitches aren't where you want to locate them, that's where you're seeing the results. And I'm with you here, Joey. I think that he is a great buy low candidate. However, if I'm the Marlins, I ain't moving him right now. Why would you move him?
I just don't think he's a buy low candidate. It's, it's like you're saying. I like he would be a fantastic buy low candidate, but I don't think the Marlins are going to move him if he's a buy low candidate. Like, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, okay, he's not at the same. We'll just sell him off for, lesser prospects. I think they're going to hold on to him, like you said, Rip. Why would they trade him if his stock's low? They still have him for, 2 more years, 3 more years on his contract. So why wouldn't you, sit there and be like, all right, if he just puts it together late in the offseason or late in the season after the deadline, we can get the exact same haul that we, would have at least this past offseason, pretty much, if not better, if he puts it together. I just think there's no point in taking a lower offer if you're the Marlins. They're not in a spot where, unfortunately, they're competing anytime soon.
Yeah.
So they can take their time.
What's the worst case scenario where you keep him around, right? Like, let's say he just keeps losing. Like, let's say that's the absolute worst case scenario. He stays at his ERA right now, and he keeps struggling. Well, you're really losing anyways in that scenario. You're not exactly, like you said, Zach, he's not in a spot. They're not in a spot where they're really competing. So let's say worst case scenario stays exactly the same. You can pretty much do whatever you need to do with him in the offseason. Best case scenario, you keep him. He comes back to Cy Young form. Of course, that's a pretty strong best case scenario. But if you get a guy who gets his get back, like that's pretty damn good to have around. And let's say best case scenario, you get rid of him, he stays at his production, but you don't really get a big return on that. Worst case scenario, you get rid of him, you get a low return, and then he's back to form, and suddenly you've got big buyer's remorse. Like, there's really not many situations where trading him leads to a better outcome than if you had kept him around and then say traded him later. So I agree. I don't think there's a big case for him to be going anytime soon, really.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think that the upside for him is still so high. And for the Marlins, though, it's going to be hard to poach maybe a deal that you'd want unless some team is desperate. And there probably will be desperate teams because of the team control that Sandy has, but there is risk that he's not going to work out for you. And when there's risk, some teams are not willing to make that gamble here. So we will wait and see what happens here on that. But we are starting to get into the trade rumor season. We're about 2 months away from the trade deadline. It's a lot of time and a lot of things can happen, but it does seem like Sandy's a name I'm sure we are going to hear a time or two over and over again. And again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're just tuning in for the first time,